Okay, welcome back. I'm going to try doing something different. I'm going to try recording in my room. Obviously, I much prefer the quality of video on these school laptops, but my room sometimes has a weird buzzing noise, and so hopefully that doesn't get picked up too much. I did turn my speakers off. Hopefully that helps. So today we're going to continue. It's been a while now, almost 8 months, but we're going to continue with the Robert Greene series with the 48 Laws of Power, which I'm going through and making videos about. And so today's video is titled Be Respected and Admired. And this comes from Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and admiration. Okay. So in this chapter, Robert Greene highlights the importance of recognizing the value of your presence. This is something that's not really taught to people at all nowadays, but your presence has a certain value to it. And if it doesn't, also that's a good question to ask yourself. Does your presence have any value? Do you contribute to the people you hang around, or are you a drain on them? And this is not so much from like a kind of a soul level, right? We're not getting that deep on this, but more so, with your characteristics, your attitude, your behavior, and your competence, right? What value do people see and recognize in you? And, the second point is that with the way social media works and with the availability of text messaging, of Snapchatting and all that, it's very easy to have your presence and the value of it to be diluted. You're always available for people's requests, with emails, text messages, and whatever messenger app you use. All of a sudden, you're very accessible, and you become common. This is something that Robert Greene talks about. Your presence is very common. And the best remedy that he provides for this particular rule set is to use your absence. Okay, and we're going to get into what that means here. So before you go off and just disappear, you got to make sure that you actually have some sort of value in this community that you're a part of. So, we're not, what Robert Greene isn't saying is that, hey, show up at a new place, hang out once or twice, get a vibe, get a feeling of the place, and then leave. And people will just miss you. No. He's not saying that. He's essentially saying when you are a regular at an establishment, that's when it's time to take a step back, take some time off, especially if you feel like people are becoming too familiar with your presence. That's when you want to take this step back to remind people, in a sense, that this is your value when you're not there, that things don't run as smoothly, and the fun that people have maybe isn't as much when you're not there. Okay. People will and if you're someone who has competence and you have good character, people enjoy your company, maybe you're funny as well, people will begin to wonder where you went, and they may eagerly await your return. I've experienced this in my life as well when I was regularly training jiu-jitsu and working out at a gym in downtown Edmonton, to the point where sometimes I would almost dread when I was coming back, because I knew, oh man, people are going to ask, like, where have I been? Now, obviously, I wasn't necessarily thinking of this rule, but taking a week off, taking 2 weeks off, a couple days, whatever it is, and then becoming once again unfamiliar, a little scarce. That's what Robert Greene is referring to. As mentioned, if you are a drain on people and you're exhausting, well, your absence will be celebrated. People will be happy, like, oh, you didn't show up, thank God. Okay, so this is one where you really need to reflect on the value and what you contribute to the group that you're a part of. But if you are someone who adds value, well, your absence will be noted and potentially mourned, right? Especially like in workplaces. If you were the fun employee who also worked hard but was just a good time to be around, and you leave the job, people are going to notice that. They're going to be sad about that, and they might even try to convince you to stay. Now, methods. So, in the online communities, they talk about this thing called monk mode. This is where you disappear for a couple months and you work on yourself, you improve, and you come back renewed. And this is a very effective technique. I left Canada for about 4.5, 5 months, traveled, and that journey was a process of renewal for me and coming back better than before. And then in that time period, you become scarce. Now, obviously, that long of a time period in this fast-paced day and age, people can tend to forget you, so you do got to stay in contact. But that process, that journey for me was transformative. It made me into the man I am today, or allowed that transformation to happen. When you return, change, people will take notice. Some may even inquire about your change. They might be very curious. Now, well, I'll let you have your own journey in that. But in my journey, I learned some things that weren't necessarily the greatest. But the main point of monk mode is it's more so an internal journey. It's an internal recreation of yourself and to come back better and renewed. Okay, this newer, more competent version of you can command more respect, right? Like you're a better version of yourself. You're a little bit more rare as well. Okay, and people may recognize your value. Now, do be cautious, right? Like the people who you left, when you come back better and renewed, they may refuse to see this new version of you. They may encourage you to revert back to your old self. So these are things you need to be careful for. On the front of, romantic relationships, friendships, whatever it is, your status in group activities, some time off and away has the potential to increase this bond, right? Especially if you're in a relationship and you're constantly seeing each other, you're smothering one another. Now, obviously, there's the honeymoon phase, and, the whole video can be made on that. But generally speaking, having your own hobbies, having your own time for yourself, and separation can build more attraction as well. Now you have to be mindful of how you do that. If you just disappear and don't talk to someone for several months or weeks or days, that can create problems as well. But for an example, like if you're in a relationship and you're not living with your partner, well, if you move in or when you are together, let's say when you are together, that time has more value to it because again, your time spent together is rare, it's scarce, and people value things that are scarce, especially valuable things that are scarce or very competent things. For example, gold. Gold is very rare in the environment, but gold is also very usable. And if you've seen, a gold coin or an ounce of gold, it's also very beautiful. And so it has a lot of value when you just look at it. And then when you learn more about its rarity, it's even more valuable because it's hard to get a hold of. This law in reverse, so too much absence, we've already discussed this, too much absence means you can become lost and forgotten, right? So once you've really established yourself in a group, in a community, that's when you can utilize absence. Or particularly like if you don't like the way you're being treated, responded to, or you just want some time away to focus on yourself, right? That's when you use this law, when you implement this. Right. And so again, very key point here, use absence strategically. Don't just disappear and be sporadic because then you're just a feather in the wind and no one's really going to care. Sometimes you see that at school as well when people who are too absent, too away, and if they don't add value, then it's hard to build those friendships and relationships. So in conclusion, be self-aware and mindful of your value and your presence. What you are giving attention to and receiving attention from communicates a great deal of information regarding what you value and how valuable you are. And so be really mindful of what you're spending time on, who you're spending time with. Be mindful of how people are perceiving your presence. If they're not respecting you, not treating you right, being rude or aggressive to you, be mindful of that and ask yourself, is that really a group you need to be a part of? And if it's a group you want to be a part of and you want to adjust the way people see you in that, then take some time away, work on yourself and come back renewed, come back better. And, hopefully you have a better response from that group. Okay. And that wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe.